And welcome back to the Open Mic Broadcast Network and a very anticipated special edition of Yeah, I Said It. We would want to have our regular guest, Ben, Jack, of course, myself, but we are excited to bring on a 2-for-1 deal, none other than Coach Heist Northern. Gentlemen, how's everybody doing today?
I'm good.
Doing good, sir.
I'm doing fine on this end. We're ready to. Yeah.
What did you
I
say,
think we can all agree with that.
I didn't hear what
Ben said. Yeah, she said I'm good and I'm bad.
Oh, you good and you bad? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's no secret that Open Mic, we've been part of the SWAC movement for quite some time. And as a result, we got the Yeah, I Said It. We got Coach Northern after further review. And it's the best of two worlds coming together and meet. Now, let me, as a moderator, I don't know what's about to be asked, said, or we're going to enjoy it and go with the flow. It's all in good spirit. We got a combination of TVU in the house, along with Southern University, Grambling University, Louisiana. And then we got the combination of Phi Beta Sigma. And guys, just for the record, I didn't know if you were aware of this, but Coach Northern's sister is one of our beloved Zeta sisters.
Okay. We're going to show a little grace then, sister. We'll show a little grace.
Hey, look, you got to add in my mama and my adopted grandmother were members of Zeta Phi Beta as well, so maybe they'll cut me a little slack knowing all that's in my background.
We'll give you just a little slack.
I appreciate it.
But Coach,
okay.
Are you in a fraternity right now? Are you in a fraternity?
Am I in a fraternity? No, I'm not. And I'm not eager to join, so I'll leave it at that.
Okay, all right. I just asked you.
He's football, football. That's what he's
about. No, I wasn't trying to throw no grandmother jokes, but I was just asking, just wanted to see.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, now look, we're going to have a roundtable discussion, but I guess the elephant in the room right now is the obvious happenings that took place at Prairie View over the weekend. I know this is a sensitive subject for some, a hot
very
subject
sensitive
for others. Okay, we're going to open the floor up now and let the games begin.
So, Coach Northern, this is number one fan, Benjamin. What did you think about, what happened with the decision?
Well, I put it to you like this. I'm never happy to see a coach fired, especially when it's, I'll put it like this. If you look at the whole athletic department, this is my opinion, and sometimes I speak the truth too much. If you look at his overall record, which is right around 500, or maybe one game above, one game below,
right.
And if you look at everything else or everybody else's record, I don't think that's the right call. That's my opinion. Being a football coach, having worked on the campus of Prairie View A&M University, sort of knowing some of the inner workings, some of the things that may go on behind the scenes that the everyday fan does not know about. I'm not going to say it wasn't the right decision. I just don't think that was a good decision to start. I say start there. That's my personal opinion, because I brought Coach McDowell to Prairie View as my assistant coach. So I probably look at it different than everybody else, but it's unfortunate. I understand the way the world is working in athletics. When the football coach is the figurehead a lot of times of the university, but I would say I don't agree with it. But you got coaches that have been fired or let go or non-renewed with better records, so I can understand from that standpoint. But I'm just not in favor of sometimes the way we do things. If they did it the way that I was told it was done, I'm really not in favor of that.
Yeah. Jack, what you think?
Coach Northern, my question is, have you thought about throwing your name in the hat since you're doing a national search? And if not, if there's a name that you would throw out there, if not?
No, I'm not. First of all, And like I say, I don't know if you know much about my background, but I have a degree in sport administration. If I was the athletic director at Prairie View, I would not hire Heights North as my head football coach. Now, if he wants to, the new head coach wants to call Heights and say, hey, we want you to be a part of our staff in some maybe administrative role, analyst role, position coach role, then I would be for that. But if I'm the athletic director, I wouldn't hire somebody else's name with my current resume. Number one, I hadn't coached on the collegiate scene in more than 4. I haven't coached in the last 3 years, I want to say, and I hadn't coached collegiately since I want to say 2015 or 16. So that would be my negative for Heights Northern as a possible candidate. But don't think when people see me on campus they don't want me to come back up there, especially if I have something to do with the defense.
Okay, so
but
Coach
I'm not going to throw any names out there.
Okay. No, Coach, we the show talk about we throw names. We don't hide names. We throw names. So I got a name I want to throw right now. So I thought it was kind of cheesy, old 10 Cap. And if you don't know who 10 Cap is, Coach Northern, that's the sorry athletic director. Hey,
do me a favor. Can you do me a favor? Can you please refrain from nicknames and derogatory names? Because I look at it like this, and I'll tell you like this.
Yeah, tell me, sir.
One of you guys called Coach McDowell bubblegum, and I wasn't a big favor of that. I do another show where I listen to other shows where guys insinuate certain things about people, and to be honest with you, I say I don't get down like that. So I would say AD Golf or whatever you want to call him, but that's just I would say let's leave it at that.
Okay, well, let me go back and reframe. I'll start back over, and I'll say it this way. So first of all, what I was going to say is, Coach Northern, I really appreciate what you've done as far as the play calling for Prairie View. So I want to give you your kudos, and I want to say thank you for that. Now, that being said, now I feel like that if I do my homework, and my homework says that was something that he enjoyed doing, because that was me that said it, then I feel like as a reporter, when a reporter does his homework, if he finds something and he thinks that it can be used and it was not meant, negatively, then why can't it be used? But I do believe in this, respecting my elders, so I'll give you a little respect, and then after you get off the call, then I'll go back to my old Benjamin. But that being said, I think it's really kind of weird. You gave Coach Bubba a little bit of encouragement, and I look at it like this. I think he's a good brother, peaceful brother, but sometimes, hanging around Prince, he say you need some big nasties. And I wonder, do you think the fact that when you don't have a little nasty streak in you, it can come back to bite you in the rear end?
Well, I would say I definitely agree with that. Especially like people want to feel like the head coach or the coaches on the sideline are going above and beyond, trying to fight for every call, or talking to the players with some, they say, the fire and brimstone, old Baptist preacher type of talk. And when you don't get that, in my opinion, people don't think you are very competitive, and they think you just let anything go. But it's different personalities when you're dealing with that. But I do agree that when people look sometimes and they see somebody that's not animated, sweating, about to fall out on the sideline, they think that that's a person that don't care or is not into it. But, everybody has their own personality. I've seen some very calm coaches win, and I've seen some very animated coaches lose. So it's just a lot of times it's what people perceive and what they want. And a lot of times it goes back to what did you, just say if you were a football player, what did you have? And a lot of times, especially the guys that played for black coaches before, those guys was the minister, the disciplinarian, all in one. And when you don't see that, then you think that's the problem with XYZ coach if they're not very animated.
Okay. And so also, I heard that you said that you have been listening in the past. So for all of those that are listening, it was not Coach Northern that made that statement, but I'm grown enough to say that was the number one fan. And the number one fan looked at it as, it's kind of hard for someone to come in and want to change the dynamic of the university when they haven't been there that long. And so that's kind of where my concept comes from. Again, I don't know if you heard from last week. I thought last week was a little cheesy, but I feel like you kind of, you came on and you already put handcuffs on me a little bit. But I just said last week I felt like we could have did a little more encouragement as far as, talking about the senior class, talking about the alumni that came out to see the game, talking about the season tickets who paid their season tickets. And so, again, some of my frustration is coming from you cut a good man by the ankles because he might not have been a brimstone kind of brother, but at the same time, it just comes across as if other people are not necessarily doing some things also, and that's where my frustration comes from. But I will, again, I said respect my elders, and I'll go get my toothbrush and wash my teeth in my mouth so I won't say nothing crazy no more.
Well, I'll tell you this, having been on the campus, and, my younger brother worked for me, and he worked at Grambling before, but he did a lot of high school football as well. And after we won the championship, he came aboard, I think, 2 years later to work. And a lot of things, he said he was almost surprised. He was almost like, how did y'all win here? With some of the stuff that he saw from, I'll say, especially some of the support staff or some of the things on the other side of campus that led him to see and hear what he would call dysfunction. So I think what I'm in agreement with what you said, and I think that's part of the reason why I was let go, because, at the time I spoke that it was certain people, if I returned, I did not want to work either with or for the football program because I didn't think they had the football team's best. Now, I'm not saying even the football team, the athletic department or the university's best interest at heart. Yeah. So, and I'll stick by that statement. I'm not going to say any names, but I will stick by that statement, and I'll stick by what my brother said.
I can say the names because we want you to get you another potential job in the future. So don't you say the names. I'll say the names. If you just want to whisper it to me, I'll say it. So they can't do nothing to me. I don't work there.
No, it's okay. But yes, sir.
But Coach, now that being said, again with some sense of humor. Since I feel like you put my handcuffs on my hands, I want to put the handcuffs on yours. We don't really talk about schools in the Louisiana area too much, and you didn't say some names a couple times. So can we just say the G or some other schools? We don't really announce those names too much on this channel here, if that's okay with you.
All right, if that's the way, like I say, this y'all show, so y'all could put the parameters and the limitations on me if y'all want to, but I'm fine if we don't mention them Louisiana SWAC schools.
No, I'm just.
Wait a minute. I've been playing moderator. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, look, man, we ain't gonna get all nitpicky about saying Southern or Grambling and all that.
There you go. Now I just
no. What I'm saying is, look, for the sake of moving forward, you can address AD Golf. You don't have to refer to him as Tin Cap or whatever.
Yeah, I do. I don't have nothing to say about it. We're gonna show that hospitality.
Yeah. And let it go. Now you said y'all been wanting this, so let's continue on.
Oh, I'm good. Yeah. I'm just saying, I feel like my hands a little tied behind my back, but I'm good. So
okay, and Ben, let Jack ask some questions too, man. Let Jack ask some questions.
Yeah. Take your little breather, man.
All right.
Coach Northern, my question is, over the past couple of years, we've been trying to see how can we get alumni, the students more involved, coming to the games and things like that. Are there any ideas that you have for that we can get more participation from alumni, more, I guess, booster money, more students, and people packing the seats?
Well, I think it's some things you can do. I'll start on campus first. So I would say I would use the big sign out front to every 30 seconds or minute. At the top of the minute, I would have a sign that say game or football game this week, volleyball game Thursday, whatever's going on in sports. I'm going to flash that on the front of campus. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put some cheap signs like the politician signs out on different parts of the yard and say home football game Saturday, different things like that. I may give, and I got this from volleyball because I know they did this for a while. I may give every football player on the team a shirt that says home game Saturday, and they wear that to class. I might give them 2 of them and say, look, you wear this one on Wednesday and wear this one on Thursday or something like that, where people gonna see them, and somebody might just say, hey, who y'all playing this week? What time is the game? Different things like that. Because I noticed I went to, what was the Florida A&M game. I parked over behind the soccer field, and there's guys out there playing basketball like it's just a regular old Saturday or Sunday and nothing is going on. But that's where I would start on campus with T-shirts and signs and the banner out front, the electric banner, that's what I call it, out front saying that, hey, we have a game Saturday. Then the alumni part, this is what I would tell people at Southern, the school that I went to, is I would tell people, you got to treat them right while they on campus and make them want to come back as alumni. So that's what I would do. First of all, you got to treat them right. The part about it's 65% female campus. You have to do something to get them involved in the game, because a lot of, first of all, don't know the rules. And I think I told Dr. Prince that I was sitting broadcasting the game, and I had 2 young ladies on separate occasions ask me, why is the PA announcer making a big deal out of it being third down? What does that mean when Prairie View was on defense? So you might have to have at freshman orientation, the week before the first home game, the first Labor Day class, you might have to do something during Panther Week to say, hey, if you don't know about football and you want to know about football, we going to have this. And you can come to it and learn a little bit about football. But I think that, like I said, you have to start early since your student population is female dominated.
Could I?
The other parts of alumni.
I'm sorry, Coach. You could do a little video on how to engage at a Panthers game and put that in your archive section.
Yeah, put it on YouTube, Instagram, all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
you know, the yes, sir, the chants and all that kind of stuff. Because when I was on campus, we had a shortage of equipment managers and student trainers. So I got with somebody in the admissions office, and I was asking for a couple minutes and let me go to orientation and talk like, hey, I'm Heights Northern head football coach here, and if you were a trainer in high school or you were interested in being an equipment manager, we need you. And I would say, God, we need some male equipment managers because there's a lot of heavy stuff that need to be moved. But I say you have to have football out your system, because you can't come wanting to be a equipment manager and then want to try out for the team. So that's some of the things that I would do as a head football coach to try to get those numbers up. And the other thing with the alumni, I just think you have to reach out to them, throw them a trinket or 2 here, there, like make it worth their while. Because, and I had football players that I coached, because I always preached about giving back, because that's what I do, is don't come, once you get past, like 2 years after you finish playing, you need to be buying tickets to the game. Don't come asking the head coach or your position coach, if he's still there, for tickets to the game. Man, buy you some season books, and even if you don't use them, the school still has that money sitting there in their pocket or whatever. So it's like I say, I'm talking what I've done. That's the way I feel about how you get them. But we got to get the alumni back, and even you got to find some staff step way. Like if you give $1,000, then you might get besides your season ticket books, because you are paying for something. I'm talking about giving money to the university, but I'm gonna give you a T-shirt for or a hat for $1,000. Then I'm gonna step it up to $5,000. You get a T-shirt, a hat, and maybe one of them $30 warm-up suits that they get to the players. So now when people see you, they gonna say, "Man, how you got that warm-up suit? Or where'd you get that from?" "Oh, I gave X amount of dollars." I know, some schools when you get to a certain amount, they may give you a Letterman jacket, but it's not the same as the Letterman jacket that the student athletes get. "Man, how you got that jacket?" Then you tell them how you got it. "I gave X amount of dollars. They gave me and my wife one," or something like that. So it's different ways you can skin that cat. But, man, it's going to be hard, though, and you got to have some people that can spread the good word of what you're doing. That's part of our problem. We, like the Democrats, we ain't good at spreading what we've done well.
Word. I agree with you there. Yeah, Dr. Prince, you have some input?
Well, I'm actually enjoying you guys dialogue, but I will go into it. Coach, I want to get more to the X's and O's of being a head coach, being an OC, being on staff, because a lot of people from outside looking in can quickly say what could be done, what should be done, until they have to actually get it done. Okay, when we talk about comparing apples to apples, budgets to budgets, I know you stated earlier that if you were the AD, you wouldn't hire Heist Northern. What would a Heist Northern do in a modern day situation? The budgets are where they are, all the things that we have to deal with, NIL, even though we're not directly heavily involved with NIL, but NIL affects us in a trickle-down aspect. How would you recruit, and with a budget of, let's say, whatever your budget was when you were head coaching, how would you compare that in recruiting today versus yesterday?
What would I do differently, or how would I attack today's recruiting?
Both.
All right. So if I am, just say, if I'm the head coach / recruiting coordinator, I'm going to probably try to go 50-50 with transfers that have played somewhere else that meet the height and weight parameters that I have set for. If it's a defensive end, this is what nobody less than 6 feet tall. I don't care how good he is. Nobody, if I'm looking for offensive linemen, they got to be 6'1" and above, and they may have to weigh under a certain amount. And I may have to say they must weigh at least 250 coming in the door, or something like that. So I'm going to set parameters, then I'm going to look in the transfer portal. But part of the issue is, at certain schools, we don't have the extra staff to scour the transfer portal like some of the other schools do. From a high school standpoint, I'm going to try to recruit, like they say, local-ish, but I'm going to have to tap into the Louisianas and the Floridas, to me, produce the best kids that have more development in front of them than behind. You can take a kid from Texas, they've been in programs since they've been in 7th grade, a lot of those guys. So they understand the workout, the weight room, but some of them, their best football is behind them because they've done everything they do. Then I might, like I say, I'm going to dip into Louisiana and Florida, and I'm going to go get me some of them athletes that probably been playing 2 or 3 or 4 sports, a little bit undersized or underweight. Then once they get the Prairie View, I can put them on the eating program, get them stronger, maybe possibly redshirt them, and have them ready to go. Now, I'm not sure, did you ask me what type of coach would I be looking for in today's era? I would look for a coach. I would probably lean to the offensive side of the ball, and I'm going to hire me a guy that probably his offense may have put up 30 to 35 points a game. And then I'm going to look at what did they do against the good teams, because you have some offensive coordinators that look like the Randy Moss New England Patriots against some teams. And then now, if you look at them, what they did against good teams, they looking like Hempstead High School 2016 or something like that. They ain't hardly putting no points on nobody.
Right. Now, when you look at all these dynamics that are going on, personally, I couldn't coach today because the way I was brought up, I was more of a hands-on, and however you want to interpret hands-on, that's just the way it is. Whether that means to get your attention in a subtle or robust way, I was a hands-on type guy. And with everybody, the kids are bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. But I all say, and I say from A to Z, you need to get on the yellow brick road to go see the Wizard of Oz to get a heart, because these guys are all exterior and no interior. How difficult is that to get your message today to today's athlete?
I put it like this. I think if those guys really believe that you care about them and you are being honest with them, you could pretty much say anything in the world to them. Now, some of them, they're not going to change it. And the ones that didn't grow up with a dad in the household are probably going to be a little bit harder to reach. But the ones that grew up with a man, uncle, somebody sort of giving them direction from a young age, they know that sometimes daddy is going to talk to you a little bit different or handle a certain situation differently than a female would or mama would or however you want to cut it. But I really do think if you're honest with kids, and I think that's why we had a little bit success on the defensive side of the ball a few years, because I was brutally honest. I could make them laugh while being honest with them, and then I brought in the accountability of, hey man, if you don't do your job, these other guys, you letting these other guys down. This is not me. So, but like I had one coach, he used to always say, man, you could tell a joke anything if you put your arms around them. So I think you still have to be as tough as you can, almost like I said, crazily tough on them, to where they almost hate you. But then at the end of practice, you walk off the field with them and ask them, do you understand where I'm coming from? Do you see what I'm saying? And like I do my own son, I say, tell me what I told you, or what do you think I said? Don't tell me what I said. Tell me what you think I said to make sure we're on the same page.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look, I got one more question before I let Ben get his next series. He ought to caught his breath by now. You said something where is kind of intriguing for me. I want you to be brutally honest and make me laugh. What does Prairie View need in their next head coach? Now, they say this national search, which I think is a bunch of hogwash. If you are ready to pull the string, which you already have on Coach McDowell, that means you got that already, or you should already have a very short list of who you want to potentially replace them. And this shouldn't take no 90 days. It shouldn't take 60 days. This should be something to be set in motion. But based on your knowledge, understanding, being, close to the pulse, what does Prairie View need compared to what they might want?
I think Prairie View almost need a second athletic director, somebody that can manage the football program and still go out and raise separate funds for the head coach's wish list, I would say. So the head coach is gonna have to hire some people that he really trusts. And I'll tell you this, I can probably, if you give me, I'll say if I had 10 minutes to go look in the office at my house, I could probably go find you. I have a list of 3 coaches at every position that I kept in my, playbook / notebook, that if one of my coaches walked out today and said, I don't want to do this anymore, I got 3 people that I could call. That I might have a current college coach on my list, a current unemployed coach on my list, and a current young high school coach that may want to dip his toe in the collegiate ranks. So if AD Golf don't have that list, that's going to be his first mistake. But I would imagine if you tell a guy you letting him go, you already should have a list of guys that you're going to reach out to along with the list of guys you sort of hope call you to say, hey, man, I'm interested in this job?
Ben?
Okay, I was just waiting.
Got your
I felt like I was putting. No, I felt like I was put in the little timeout section, so I just was sitting there just chilling. But
Get your feelings
what I
out
want to
your
know.
back pocket.
Anyway, whatever, man. What I want to ask, Coach, is this: based on, I think we lost 5 games. Based on those 5 games, do you think if we would have had a better sense of discipline, that those 5 games could have been wins instead of losses?
I'm not going to say all 5, but like I always go back to what my coaches told me when I was playing. And at the beginning of the season or in the spring ball, they would always say, discipline going to win you 3 games and it's going to lose you 3 games. So whatever 3 games you count, whether it be, I would say I'll take these 3 for certain. The Southern game, the Alcorn game, and the UAPB game, you could count those. If they had a little more discipline, didn't get penalties in the red zone, especially on the offensive side of the ball, those ball games are totally different in outcome. So that's what I say. This is gonna win you 3 and it's gonna lose you 3. So if you just take those 3 that were all close games, you could say we probably not even having this conversation. They were 9-3 or somewhere in that range, or 8-4, somewhere like that. So that would hold true if you say discipline win and lose you 3.
Okay, and I don't want to, excuse me, since you have these coaching relationships, I don't want you to put yourself out there, so I'll put myself out there. So we're not going to say the coaches, but based on position, would you say that the defense, would we give them a passing grade?
I would think in a lot of games, yes, minus the offsides and the pass interference penalties on occasion. But I thought the defense kept them in enough games to possibly win them. I would say yes. Okay,
because even this week, I think it was probably a surprise if people, would be truthful to themselves, that Prairie View held Alabama State to only 9 points compared to, quote-unquote, what I get tired of hearing, the blue blood schools, the FAMUs, the Jackson States, and the Grammys, and the Southerns. No other school was able to hold them to 9 points. So I thought the defense, did an excellent job even this weekend. It was, again, just, mistakes on the offensive side.
Well, I don't never pretty much go offense, defense, because the defense can score touchdowns and safeties as well. So I put it like this. This is what changed me on that, because I used to think like that. So I was coaching at a school, and we lost the game. I'm going to say it was 44-40 or something like that. So one of the offensive coaches says, when you score 40 points, you should win the game. Now, he says that to me, and I'm coaching defense. So I said, well, you really didn't score 40 because the defense had a pick 6 for a touchdown, so that takes some points away. We also had a fumble that was ran back to the 3 or 5 yard line. Oh, and the special teams ran the ball all the way back down to the 3 or 5 yard line. So don't poke your chest out when it's a team sport, So I don't like to hear offense, defense, because I've been on the side where I felt like when I first got to Prairie View, we would lose some 15, 17, 13, 10 games, and I felt like if we would have played better on defense, then we would have won the game. So that's always my thought process. Both teams and special teams could have played better throughout the game. So I don't get into the one side of we held them to 9. That's, it's almost like, man, I paid my child support. Nah, that's what you're supposed to do type of deal.
Okay, I got that. That sounds good and all, but I guess I'm thinking of more from, and again, I know you can't cross over professional to the college league, but when I would think of Ray Lewis, I'm saying, man, if you just gave me 10 points, and I'm not trying to ask the question to compare one to the other.
Yes, sir, I understand.
But my point was the fact that we held them to 9 points. I thought the defense played very well. That's really the only point I was making. And
yes.
as you were talking,
yes, sir.
I looked. There was only one other school, and that was Jackson State that held them to 10 points. All of the other schools, they scored 23 and above. So I was just saying from a defensive standpoint, I think we held our own. Because all week long, I've been hearing this bull crap about certain schools, being better than others. And it's just, to me, be it big or small, I think the discipline factor is bigger than when we really give it credit. But if we just had a little more discipline, I think we would have – I'll put us at 4-1 over those 5 games that we lost. Somebody else might say 3-2, but I think 4-1 would have been a good assessment.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with that part of where you're coming from because, Coach Bryant was the offense coordinator when I was a defensive player, and we would joke around, and he might say, Heist, how many points you need this weekend? And I say, man, if you can get 17, or if we playing, somebody that was, we thought was pretty solid, had good wide receivers and a quarterback, man, we might need 24. So coaches they may joke about that, but at the end of the day, man, my partner would say, man, you gotta stop taking these games so hard, because we would win and I would be unhappy because we gave up, 14 points or something like that. So, but I definitely understand. But going back to what we say, discipline, win 3 and lose 3. I don't care where you cut it up at, high school, pros, or whatever. I still think that statement is true.
Okay. Another question I wanted to have, this is talking about, I got in trouble earlier, and they beat the crap out of us, Texas Southern, saying that they were the sister school. But you remember the length of time, I think Dr. Prince talked about this, it shouldn't take that long. I think it was like more than 2 or 3 months before Texas Southern finally decided on who their coach was going to be. I agree with Dr. Prince. It shouldn't take us that long because the longer it takes, the longer it puts that particular coach in a situation where it's hard to go look for talent if we don't have the personnel to go out there and look for it. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I say, this shouldn't be a long, drawn-out process, but this is what I find intriguing. Sometimes when Prairie View is making a hire, they have to follow state bylaws in terms of a position being open and posted. But a lot of people don't know, even in the personnel world, that if you post or put out there how important this position is to the overall operation of the university, then you can post the job and hire a coach faster than that. But at Texas A&M, since Texas A&M is not paying, I hate using them as an example, but since the university itself is not paying most of their salary, it's almost like they can fire a coach, whatever his name, Elko, right now, and bring in a new coach in 3 days. That's how sort of they get around it. So a lot of times we as black schools, because we are paying, we have to follow that 2-week guideline of having a job posted for X amount of days, unless you go through that procedure of importance to the operation of the university. But it shouldn't take long at all.
Yeah, I was ready to say, you said 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I can deal with that, because especially if you fire someone, it's not like someone walked away. You fired them, which means you have a plan already, supposedly or allegedly, in motion. So, present your candidates in week 1, make your decision in week 2, and let's move on. That's my plan.
But in some of that, I'm sorry.
Now, I was just going to tell you from my experience. So when I was the head coach, we had a coach leave maybe 2 weeks before the season start. And because I had my list, I was able to get somebody in before we even started training camp. Or it may have been like the first or second day of training camp. But as an AD, anybody in personnel that's dealing with multiple people, you have to have if this happened, then I got somebody that pretty much I know will take the job for X amount of dollars.
Right. Yeah. Get that contingency plan. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Coach, my question is, with your coaching experience and everything, what do you consider your coaching style?
I mean, you got to be flexible these days, because some kids I don't think can handle the screaming and yelling. And some kids, if you're not screaming and yelling, they don't think you serious. So you, like I said, you got to get to know them jokers first of all. And it might have to start in small group meetings. I have a form that I have guys fill out. Like, just basically tell me about yourself. Where you from? Did you grow up with a man in the house? Who you look up to? What's your relationship with your high school football coach? Married, single, got kids? Because having kids changes the dynamic of some young men. So it's all that type of stuff that as a coach, I need to know who can be fussed at and who can't. And then I tell this, like, if I just say Jonte Abad, and I'm not saying this is him, but everybody might think that I really like Jonte Abad because I went to school with his mom and he went to the same high school I went to. But sometimes I might say, hey, Jonte, you're going to do the smallest thing, and I'm going to talk about you like I really don't like you, and you don't say a word. I might do something like that to say, hey, man, just so everybody can see, man, if he talked to Jonte like that, it's almost like, who am I not to get fussed at? So it's different ways you got to handle situations. But I tell you this, I always add a humor when I talk to guys. At the end of the day, I try to make them laugh. And I think that's how I could sort of get away with, and I said this on a different show. I used to cuss a lot, and people liked when I cussed because they thought it was hilarious. But at the same time, I don't feel like I need to do that, nor do I want to do that now. But, like I say, some of these kids, if you ain't cussing, they think you weak or soft or not serious. But you got to get to know them.
You can cuss. You can go on and cuss, Coach.
I just don't.
Coach,
I just sort of don't like it. Yeah, I just don't like it, and it's just a different time in my life. Like I say, when I was younger, man, it's like they expected me to say something. Then, when I see guys that I coach, 15 years ago, they'll talk about, Coach, you remember when you said that in meeting? I like, most of the time I do, because like I say, I was always trying to be intentionally funny when I was.
Coach, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Coach,
I'm good.
Coach, listen, you're going to be driving down the road today, and you're going to say a word, and all you're going to be like, that dang Prince. So don't let him get in your head, Coach. Don't let him get in your head.
I'm all right.
Coach, but now going back, I thought Jack was kind of meaning it in another way, so I'm going to just pick it back on it this way. So when you have a philosophy, you might be a throwing philosophy. But when you're playing against certain schools and you can just bully them, just run the ball, don't you have to adjust your philosophy if it's game to game, half to half?
You know what you have to, and like I say, I always go back to my old coaches. They say mediocre coaches adjust from game to game. Good coaches adjust from half to half. The better coaches, they adjust from series to series, and some of them adjust from play to play. So I think you have to have a flexible philosophy. You have what you want to do, but sometimes it's hard as heck to run against an 8 or 9 man box. No matter what you do, they got you outnumbered. So you have to have something to say, what's going to be my counter? Like say, I always use baseball. I got a real good fastball, but I better have a good changeup or a curveball somewhere down the line. So you got to have a changeup in whatever you're doing philosophy-wise. And then it might change based off of who you have playing. You might have to go from a passing team to a running team or a wildcat team. It's different things that you have to do as a coach in order to be successful based off of what you have at your disposal. So your philosophy or your scheme is what you want to do, but I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. What you have at your disposal is going to determine what you actually do. Your flexibility determines what you actually do.
And so that goes with my other follow-up question is I know I have some people, 2 people that kind of get on my case because they act like, I'm intern coach, but it was amazing to see that if we can run McNally and he's running over people, he's getting 3 or 4 yards, while we don't either stay with it when he's doing good or just like this past weekend, the week before, I believe it was, when they pulled Johnson out of the game and put Cam back in there. To me, it just looked like the game wasn't flowing good this weekend. But the powers that be just said, and I hate to say it, maybe they had already shut down. It was what it was. But if you can change the week before, then why not change again? You've been changing. So it's those type of decisions that I'm like, I told Jack the other day when we were expecting you to come, I'm coming in there. I think Jack said you should come up with a good 15 plays. I said, forget 15. I got 4 plays. Every 4 downs might be different based on the situation, just like you said. If they press it in the box, I can't do those plays. I got to adjust. But when you just dealing with, I'm going to do it my way or the highway, it just seemed like just like players can lose their cool, coaches can lose their cool or their coaching style because they refuse to kind of adjust, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you can say that to a certain bit, but I don't know any coach that would say even if they told Coach McDowell 2 weeks ago that this Alabama State game is going to be your last game. If that joker showed up to work every day, I think Coach McDowell going to give them guys his best efforts because, like, y'all just think, I'm not saying y'all, but some people think all coaches want to do is collect a paycheck, but they don't know how vested those coaches are in the lives of those young men and how much they want those guys to be successful. Because, like I say, me knowing Bubba, I do not think he is that type of person. Him, Whedon, whoever you want to call on that coach staff is not the type of person that's going to say, man, they letting us go in a week or two. Because I tell them the same thing I tell my players. You don't never know who watching you and what they going to see when you pop that film in. You don't know who's in the stands that's watching you coach or do whatever and where they going to be in a couple of years. So I don't think I put that past them guys. I just couldn't see that happening where somebody thinking that they not being flexible because of the situation that they were in.
Well, Coach, I choose somewhat to just not say I disagree, but we'll go to the state of Louisiana when a couple years ago we had someone, we won't name calling, but one of your brothers from the state of Louisiana, we played in Jackson State, and one of our better running backs didn't even see no parts of the football game. None. And the week before, 2 weeks before we played in the championship game, he was running over people. He had 100-plus yards against A&M. We go to Jackson State, and he see no parts of the game, only for us to find out that this particular coach that you should know what I'm talking about, he leaves Prairie View to go to Southern. So even though I understand and I hear you, I give you a little grace, but to say that some coaches don't just already start packing their stuff, I don't know. Just like a player. Some players, they already know, you know what, man, I'm going in the portal. I ain't finna try to do nothing. They already packed out. Now, I'm not saying Prairie View, I'm just saying collectively. There are some individuals, like Prince said, you got the cootie coo and baby him and all that kind of stuff, and they've already checked out. And it's probably hard to deal with anyone. Prince always tell me on my job, if it's a coach, a player, whoever it is, if you checked out, you checked out.
Yeah, I could agree with that, but you know, it is
I
what it is.
I wasn't saying Coach Bubba because I like Coach Bubba. Coach Bubba, I like.
Yes, sir. I understand what you're saying.
All right. Jack?
Dr. Prince.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I got some more coaches. If you want me to keep on going, see, they think I don't have nothing.
Okay, we're trying to keep it coming, guys, because we're almost out of time. So keep it going back.
Oh, we got a lot of time. We got, hey man, we got time.
No, you got time.
Your killer ain't calling you today. So, Coach Jordan, another question, because I guess I'll just dominate the conversation. So, I know personally, there seems to be like a recycling in the SWAC. Would it be fair if Prairie View chooses, I'm not talking about the entertainment type coach, but just to go and get a fresh start and bring fresh new ideas? I'm not saying you have to be young or old, but just a fresh fragrance.
I guess it depends on who it is. Being honest with you, I put it like this: I don't see any current SWAC head coaches. I'm trying to think, make sure I don't forget anybody that I would say, okay, I'm gonna pick that guy to come be the head coach at Prairie View A&M. It's a couple of assistants I would say yes, without throwing their name out there. But I wouldn't see any current SWAC head coach. But
Well, no, I didn't
like
mean
I
it
said,
like that. I mean,
just somebody
I didn't mean
outside the
like current
HBCU
coach.
world.
Yeah, I didn't mean like
Yeah,
current coach.
I
I don't
understand.
think. Yeah.
Ben, you keep asking questions, don't let them respond.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry.
Now I put it like this. So you don't never know what you're gonna get in a head coach, because you'll see guys that are ultra successful in 3 to 4 stops, and then they get to a certain place and you wonder like what happened to that dude that was winning 9 and 10 games a year
Right.
at XYZ. So that's the thing. You never know what you're gonna get based off of track record, and then like people don't know or see some of the stuff that goes on in recruiting. It's just the levels of recruiting that some of us, and I'm gonna say HBCU coaches, have to go through, especially when you're dealing with high school coaches. Now, once a kid hits the transfer portal, it's almost like selling used cars. You're dealing directly with the individual more so than you are with a high school coach, a parent, and all that type of stuff. But I think they're gonna have to try to dip their toe into, I ain't gonna say outside of HBCU world, because there have been some, I'm gonna just say, use this for example. The running backs coach that was at Jackson State before Coach Prime was there, nobody thought that he wouldn't have success. He had worked in the SEC for a long time and couldn't get it going at Jackson State. But part of that is because the logo on his shirt changed. The same school that was sending him kids when he was at Mississippi State, they wasn't sending them the same level of kids to Jackson State.
Mm-hmm.
Or I never thought Coach Joseph, who I respect highly as a football coach, if I lived to be 100 and Coach lived, I never would have thought that Mickey Joseph would struggle his first year at Graham State, because I've seen him coach and do well when it comes to acquiring talent everywhere he's been. So, like I say, you never know what you're going to get in a football coach at certain universities.
Right.
Well, Coach, before y'all go any further, before you say anything, I'm going to throw a name out there who I got to, or he might not come, I got to kick all 4 tires on, and that's Fred McNair. Because he was already an alley-oop slam dunk at Texas Southern. Whatever happened. He was left out in the cold. He got a lifeline on Southern staff. Still, to me, got a lot of tread on the tires, understands the dynamics of the SWAC, and in comparison to availability of budgets, I don't know about overall support, but budgets available to him at Prairie View in comparison to Alcorn, what he was able to do at Alcorn, I definitely would have to kick the tires on him now that this position is open.
Yeah, we talked about that. And then, I don't know, and I'm not hoping, and by me asking or putting his name out, I'm hoping he don't get let go. But we talked about, Coach Odom. But again, Coach, I totally agree. For what Coach Odom did at Southern, and then he went up to, and I know you say, watch what I'm saying, Benjamin, so I'm not cussing. But the mess that he had to deal with at Winston, wherever he's at, Northport, I don't think he was expecting to deal with that type. And so, based on the mess that he got, once he got there, I don't even know if he would have went there if he would have known how messed up it was. But from a disciplinary standpoint, I just like how he held them accountable. You didn't see a lot of penalties. I'll just leave it at that. But again, what happened at Louisiana school don't mean that the same concept type of players are going to be doing that.
Yes, sir.
At PV. But I think Coach Odom would be a good guy because I think he's a good disciplinary type guy. But it's kind of hard for me to want to bring somebody from the San Antonio, Texas. But it is what it is. But my other thing is, I know I heard you the other day. I've been doing my homework. See, Coach, I wasn't just talking about bubble gum. I was doing my homework. So I saw you on the circuit, with Scotty and Osari Perry and all of them. So I've been checking you out before you came on the show. And so one of the things I realized is that Southern, sometimes they get a little water trinkle from LSU. Fam, you get a little trinkle here or there from Miami, Florida State. And what do you think about the idea that Prairie View don't necessarily we don't see the evidence of a trinkle, not that I care if we get them or not, from the A&M Baylor, the Texas schools that they're not doing good or they got kicked out or they didn't make the grade or whatever the concept is, those type of trinkles coming to PV?
Well, I think part of it is you have to look at what is the admission standard for transfers. So I'll just tell it like this. So part of the while when I was at Prairie View, it's almost, so we were under APR penalties when I was the head coach. So that means we had to recruit kids with a certain GPA to come in and play football in particular. The other thing is your transfer students had to have a higher GPA than your high school students. So what 2.8, 3.0 good football player you gonna know that's coming from a A&M, UT or whatever. Then some of those guys have in their mind that I will go to a HBCU if that's the only place that I go or can go. And Prairie View is not a only place I can go destination. And I'll say it lightly. It's some other schools in the conference that fit that bill. So
right.
That's going to stop you from getting a lot of guys because when they bring you their transcript, you're going to be like, hold up, man, you from Dallas, Texas, and your major is agriculture or farming leadership, and you taking all these classes that don't have anything. I'm like, hey, man, how you taking these classes? Oh, man, that's what they told me to take, so I just went to them or took them or whatever. Didn't put much evidence to it. But that's why you see, if you look at Prairie View, and they're starting to get some more now because the APR stuff is pretty much gone by the wayside. But that's why, for the longest, you look at a Prairie View roster and you don't see formerly Texas A&M, Baylor, and all that. But you look at, just say a private school like in Corner Word, they can say, man, long as you don't cuss the coach out in front of his wife or slap the athletic director in front of his wife, and you could play some good football, come on over here. If you could get in with a 2.0 GPA, well, Prairie View not letting that slide no matter how good you are.
Right. And so I tried to tell one of your friends that, I'm trying to be respectful because I know you're going back on that show, but we don't just want anybody coming to PV. I mean, that's not
and that's understandable.
Statement, but it's a statement. And so while other schools are letting, like what you said, come to their school, then that's cool. And I even tried to tell the person, y'all they get their jumps off when they say when Prairie View was losing 80-some games, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, bro, you're right. But are you aware that y'all were getting transfer students from a school that flunked out just to come to your school? And if you just happy because y'all were beating us, then more power to you. But that's a sad argument that you want to boast your numbers on a guy that flunked out of school but it was a better athlete compared to a guy he had the heart. He just might not have been as talented when I was going to school. So it's just amazing when I hear some of the schools from around the SWAC that like to brag about their wins and losses and all that kind of stuff. But I was just wondering what you thought about that, the trickling effect.
Okay, that's not going to happen at Prairie View.
Let me add this. We got time for one more question. Believe it or not, we're a little bit over an hour with this, and I want to respect everybody's time. So you got each one of you going to get one more question. We'll start with you, Jack. Ask your question, then Ben, you ask your question, and I'll close up with a question or thought, and then we're going to wrap this up.
All right. Well, Coach Northern, first of all, thank you for your time and coming on the show and everything. If you haven't noticed, my number one priority is getting fans and student alumni in the seats. And I know this year we had different themes like Western. I can't think of some of the other things that we had. Is there any things that you can come up with that you can think of that will help us get alumni and students in the stands?
I would have to think. I maybe, especially if I'm playing a school like a Bethune at home or Florida A&M at home, a school that's a long ways away or doesn't travel well, or Alabama State or A&M, if they come to Prairie View, I would have to think about either deeply discounting or trying to encourage high schools within the area to, hey man, y'all bring a busload of kids and we'll let them in for $5 or something like that. I would look more to along the lines of that. Like even when they had the bands at the game the other day, I would have it like, hey man, you come to the game and you might not get down on the field, but the first break we had, or first TV timeout, look, we gonna go down the line. You play a song, nobody's gonna play while the game is going on. Then the next break we going down the line, and you play your song, and then have them sitting in the stands, sort of like they were just going down the line type of playing. But I would have to get those bands. Anywhere I got some PV alums, hey man, just say DeAndre Cooper and Patrick Robinson are both at C.E. King High School. I might say, hey man, we'll let every kid on y'all team in the game as a recruit. Bring them to the facility. And I would do something like that. Now, I'll tell you this now, I might be wrong for saying it. I talked to one high school coach that's at a pretty good high school, and they were trying to get their high school to play one of their playoff games at Prairie View and couldn't get it done. And the head coach of that school told the assistant coach, like, man, he felt sorry for him for not being able to bring their team that was going to be playing against another ranked team to Prairie View for a home football game. And I don't know if it was because of the ticket-taking situation or the outsourcing and all that kind of stuff, but you got to, as a university, try to make those things like that happen when you get a chance. So, I know I left off a little bit of, went around, but all of that is included in trying to put people in the stands, because a lot of people do not know, whether black or white, they do not know how nice Prairie View campus is. And when we would bring kids on official visit and their parents came, 9 times out of 10, I say 7 times out of 10, it was a good chance that we were going to get that kid, because the parents saw how nice the campus was as opposed to what they thought. Now, at that time, we had a stadium that looked like a practice field, but now it ain't nothing you can't show a kid. You can show them the weight room, you can show them the locker room, you can show them the stadium, you can show them academic enhancement. It ain't nothing that you can't show them when they come on campus now.
That's true. That's true. I like the local part. Yeah, I think we've talked about that in previous shows. Getting the local people, the local high schools, the local bands. That's big. That's big. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
All right, Ben?
Well, I don't really have a question, so I'm going to just leave it as I appreciate it. Again, like as I kind of started off, I appreciate you commentating the game. Hopefully you and Prince can get together and do it next year. And then I appreciate you just taking our time. Dr. Prince did build up. It was going to be a Mike Tyson versus whatever the other boy's name was. But he kind of held my arms back a little bit. He sounded like he held your arms back a little bit also. So I can see how the people on Netflix might want their money back. But I do appreciate, you sharing your knowledge and your understanding. And I look forward to hearing you on the other shows. And just thank you again, sir.
Look, I'm going to tell you like this now. And the reason why I can say the way I am, my dad was a coach. So it wasn't and yeah, I'm always gonna have the coach's back unless he's just dog cussing or abusing kids. I'll put it to you like that. But I think a lot of times, just look at the last couple of games. If a quarterback makes a throw, we missed 3 wide open throws against Alcorn. Is almost like, is that Coach McDowell's fault? Is that Coach Whedon's fault? Is some of that is on the players, different things like that. But I just think sometimes we overreact as fans, and that's why when I go to my son game, I usually sit by myself because I don't want to hear the other fans that don't know squat about football talking about either how bad the coaching is or how bad the players are and stuff like that. But, and I put it like this, some of those shows that I do, I don't agree with everything them guys say, but like I say, I may tell them, just like I tell you, it's certain things I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna deal with, but it's certain things I don't want to hear, because when I get on certain shows, when a guy is going on talking about, man, they running cover 4, and why he called this play, and then when the film rolls, they line up in cover 4 and rotate to cover 3. So I'm like, nah, there's certain people I can't talk to. I can talk about the administrative stuff with them, but I just can't talk football with certain people. But I like to say, I appreciate you guys. I love that y'all love y'all university. In my opinion, y'all got to do a better job. And I'm not just going to say y'all, but y'all have to do a better job of spreading the word of how much you love your university. And if you do something beyond the fact of buying tickets and giving money, you got to encourage people like, hey, man, they need it. It's like, don't complain about something the way the election went if you ain't take your tail to vote, if you ain't take 2 or 3 people with you to vote. So, right. But, like I say, man, I tell it like it is. I had Dr. Prince laugh the other day. Like, I'm going to tell it like it is. Like I said, I told my wife her stomach sticking out was made her pregnant, not a dress. So I'm a shoot it straight and let you deal with the consequences.
Yeah.
And look, and for the record, I did not hold anyone's hands. I didn't say what you can and can't say. I said we're just gonna respect each other. So don't say I can hear back.
Yeah.
Say what?
Yeah. I said I was gonna respect him, even though he came from the boot. But it is what it is. But I do appreciate.
No, that was it. That's it, Ben. That's it, Ben. You already said that. You already said that. No, I know you said that. You already. And we gave you your closing thought.
Can you go on and hang up? Coach John, can you go on and hang up?
No, wait a minute. No, we're not gonna finish. Look, man, I gave you all the ample time to ask your question. Okay,
I'm done with that.
We wrapped it down. Okay, we're done with that. So when you gave your closing comments, that was it. That was it.
All right, bye.
I know, but when you gave your closing comments, that was it. Look, Coach Northern, we thank you for being our special guest.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Jack, thank you guys for doing what you do. Thank our listeners for tuning in, doing what you do. As they say, it's all SWAC love. There are multiple platforms. I'm one of the OGs. I'm the relic of the group, but we still doing our thing. I appreciate Coach, he laughed when I called him my football guru, but his wings have spread it and lifted him on many other platforms, and we're proud to know that we got you a kickstart, Coach, and we appreciate you spending your time with us. I want to remind folks that you can follow me on the Twitter X at The Mike Prince Show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. But when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, click that bell notification. That way, every time it's done, we're doing exclusive stuff, YouTube only, and then we have a plethora of other platforms. Be sure to stay in tune to keep up what's going on. Thank you guys again for joining in. Visit our website at obnradio.com. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.